President Biden speaking to voters in South Carolina yesterday. He claims that his economic policies have been good for everyone. Take a listen.
I made a commitment that I'd be president for all Americans, whether their elected officials voted for the events or not. All Americans, wherever you voted for me or not. I've kept my promise. In fact, some analysis has said that the laws I've signed are going to do more to help red America than blue America. I believe that every American willing to work hard should be able to get a good job no matter where they live. That's the American dream.
Not exactly the most enthusiastic pitch, was it? Sean Duffy joins me now. Sean, has the president's policies really been good for everyone, as he claims?
Well, first, no, in red America is doing really well because red American governors and legislatures have done what good people do in government. They lower taxes, they reduce regulation, nice. They make their states free, to which people flock, and they bring their businesses, their money, and their investments. So that's the answer to that. But no, this has not been good for everyone, Ashley. And when you look at, the American people, they say, Joe Biden gets a 34% rating on how he's done on the economy. They'll tell you that he's actually failed. People are making less money today in real dollars than they were before Joe Biden was in office. And you mentioned that he's in South Carolina. That's interesting because Joe Biden doesn't barnstorm the state. I mean, he's a guy who sits at home most of the time. If you're going to go to a state, why are you going to South Carolina? That's a red state. Well, it's an important state for the Democrat primary. And right. It begs the question, is he concerned about RFK? Is he concerned about actually winning the primary, and that's why he's going to a primary state of South Carolina, as opposed to going to Arizona or Georgia or some other purple state?
Sean, take a look at this headline in USA Today. It reads, Biden is trying to sell Bidenomics, but Americans can't afford the president's agenda. It's interesting because, look, when I think of Bidenomics, you go back to Reaganomics. Reaganomics was all about cutting taxes, cutting regulation, reduce government spending, free capital market. You're off to the races. And that's exactly what happened. I would argue that Biden's plans, the way it's come up to this point, is the complete opposite of Reaganomics.
Yeah, you're right. Raise taxes, increase regulation, and more government spending. And by the way, Ashley, wherever Reaganomics are tried, lower taxes, less regulation, and less government spending, and I don't care where you're at in the world, you actually get an economic boom.
Yes.
And when you do what Joe Biden does, where you have government-led spending, where government picks winners and losers, those economies falter and eventually fail. I mean, Joe Biden was in South Carolina. I believe it was for Enphase Energy. It's a green energy company. They're touting this is going to create 600 new jobs. Listen, that reminds me of Solyndra back in 2010. We were promised by Barack Obama that it would create 3,000 construction jobs and 1,000 permanent jobs, and a couple of years later, it went bankrupt because the market's not demanding that we have these companies. It's bureaucrats like Joe Biden who are deciding who's going to win and who's going to lose, and I don't trust Joe Biden or anyone in government to pick companies that win or lose.
You, me, and a lot of other people, Sean. And bottom line here, the president pitching to the American people, they know how much they're spending every day, whether it's on gas, groceries, whatever it is. And it's clear that wages have just not kept up with inflation. We're going backwards. And I'm not sure how he can overcome that fact.
100%. And, with the trillions of dollars that have been spent by Joe Biden, most Americans they're not seeing new roads, new bridges, new internet connectivity. They're not seeing anything from what Joe Biden's done except for higher inflation. And so that's their reality in their everyday life, in their bank accounts, and as they manage their finances. And that's why, again, when the top issue for Americans, 70% of Americans say the economy and inflation are the top issue.
Right.
And Joe Biden says, I'm going to lean into that and call it Bidenomics, and I'm going to run on that. Good luck with that as a politician, Joe. That's not going to play very well.
Could be a big mistake. Sean Duffy, we agree on everything. I love it. All right, Sean, thank you very much.